Well, hello and welcome to Daily Star Trek News. Kind of. This week we have a little bit of a different show, and it's really just an opportunity for all of you guys who are watching to meet everyone who's behind the scenes. And personally, I have to apologize for not introducing everybody before. I know I've talked about the team before on the show and never had the opportunity to kind of introduce everybody. So since I am leaving, I thought, this would be still a great opportunity to finally get everybody together, to introduce the team to everyone who's watching, and give you guys a chance to ask any questions too. So the way the show is going to go today, we're going to start off with some introductions so you guys can meet the team. We've also got a couple of sort of icebreaker questions that we're going to talk about and let you get to know the team a little bit better. We're not doing a poll today, but I do actually have a show and tell, which was sent to me by a listener, and we're going to open that live. So that'll be fun too. So anyway, if you guys who are watching have any questions or things that you want to talk about, please let me know. Just drop something in the chat, and we'll get to it as we can. So anyway, without further ado, I would like to introduce everybody to the whole Daily Star Trek News team. I don't know where everybody's positioned on the Zoom, so bear with me. I think we've got Marina Kravchuk, who does all of our events, compilations, and just generally finds lots of wonderful information on the internet. Hello, Marina. We've got T. Rick Jones, who's our new managing editor. He also does the writing for the features, so things like history and trivia is all down to T. We got Chris Peterson, who is our longest running writer for the show, and also David and Jack, who are also our other writers. And yeah, let's just go around and volunteer. Who wants to start and introduce themselves to everyone? Because if you don't volunteer, I will volunteer you. All right, who's up?
I'll go first.
I'll start. Oh, okay.
Wait.
Go for it. Chris will go first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. Hello. This is like the second or third time that Alison and I have gotten together online in just over 2 years. So it doesn't happen often. This is definitely a rare occurrence. So yeah, just over 2 years been writing with Alison. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a Trekkie from the days gone by, many decades, at least for me anyway, 20 plus years. And just nuts about theater and music and life. And I'm here and I'm really excited to get to answer some questions and to get to know everybody a little bit better today. It should be a lot of fun. So that's all I got for now.
Thank you, Chris. Who wants to go next? David, let's go to you.
Okay. I'm greetings from Central Ohio, just north of Columbus. I think I'm the last one to come on board, right? I'm the
yeah. You came on because we had something came up. And I needed someone to help us out at the last minute, and you stepped in, and then I was like, "You're really good, so please stay."
Okay.
And then you did.
Yes, and I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm happy I did. This has been great. Yeah, that's right. I think I initially applied for the gig that T has, and I'm glad he got it because he's awesome at the trivia and history.
Thank you.
And he's going to make a good managing editor too. So, yeah, I don't know. Happy to be here.
So let's kick it over to T then. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I've been with Daily Star Trek News for a year in May, so just over a year now. And I've been a Trekkie since I was 12 or 10 or somewhere around there. The first Star Trek I ever saw was Star Trek 3 which is a very strange entry point, but it got me hooked. So I've been watching ever since. And professionally, I'm a stage manager, and I spend my summers stage managing at a little theater in Nantucket, which is, I'm in my housing right now, Nantucket, and it's like a paid vacation. So, it's great.
Thanks. Okay, so Jack or Marina, who wants to go next?
I'll jump in real quick.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jack. I may have the distance award here. I'm not sure. I'm calling y'all from Dundee, Scotland. In fact, I've been kind of radio silent on the site for the past couple months. The move overseas has been kind of hectic, but we're finally starting to settle in here. And I came on board last year just out of a love for Star Trek that's been going on for 50 plus years. It has been part of my life since I was a wee lad. So we'll put it that way. So excited to finally see you all face to face.
You're catching up on the lingo slowly.
Yeah.
All right, and I guess
yes, Marina.
me, yes. Well, Marina, and I'm currently in New Jersey, and today happens to be 24th anniversary since my family came to the United States, and I've been a Star Trek fan almost as long, because I caught Star Trek on TV almost immediately upon arrival. So became a very fast fan. And I've been with Daily News for, I'm going to say, roughly about a year and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it all came about thanks to Sue from Women at Warp, because as the pandemic started, it became pretty nutty to keep track of all the things people started to do online. I mean, thank goodness for Zoom and all the other online platforms for this sort of communication. So I started jotting down. It's like, okay, here are the things that I've heard about, and I would post it on Facebook and a couple of groups that I'm in on Facebook. And then Sue said, "Oh, guess what? Alison's trying to do kind of the same thing, and she really can't. She needs a hand with this." And that's how I became the compiler of whatever's going on. And of course, virtual stuff is next to gone by now. I mean, there's a plus side to it, I suppose. The convention circuit is back booming. On the other hand, it's kind of a sad thing that the virtual events have gone, because they certainly provided a wonderful opportunity for those people who cannot travel for various reasons to be part of the fandom in such manner. So, so events, if anybody hears about anything, hit me up and we'll post about it.
I would echo that. Marina is a really great example of how there are such amazing people already doing really good work out in the Star Trek community. And if you could network with those people, sometimes you get really great results. And Marina has not being funny, I'm not sure if I've ever told you this, Marina, but people have told me in the past that they found out about events that they wouldn't have gone to because of our events listing.
That's wonderful.
Is Muhammad in the chat? Oh, he's not.
He's traveling.
He's
from
traveling
Awesome
today.
Con.
I've had some great anecdotes from him just about exactly that same thing. And the work that you do for everybody, the service that you do is really, really valuable. So
thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. Did we hit everybody? I think we hit everybody. All right.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So in an effort to kind of let everybody, because folks who are watching know me pretty well, I occasionally say my opinions about things. I wanted to kind of go around and I want people to get to know you guys. So we've got some icebreaker questions. Right. We're going to start off. They're really derivative because we're starting off, right? But for those of you who are watching, if you have any questions that you would like to ask any of us, please drop them in the chat. Right. So we're going to start off with favorite captains. So
I can lead off. I can lead off. It's going to be very, very fast.
It's Kirk, right?
Come on. Yeah, no, it's Captain Janeway.
It's Captain Janeway, of course.
And it has been Captain Janeway ever since I first caught Star Trek. And just to give you an idea, is that quite literally I was watching without any kind of differentiation, because at late 90s, I still caught DS9 on the air. Voyager was obviously mid through its run. And TOS was almost always in reruns on PBS, that sort of channels. And my student center in college always showed BBC America showing TNG. I don't know why, but whenever I was there, it was so. It was all very anachronistic. What is it? But like without any kind of, until it caught me, and then I sat down and I actually watched everything from beginning to the end. Because at that point, if you asked me, is Tasha Yar alive or not, I wouldn't be able to tell you, to be honest, because everything was shown kind of. But no, it became Captain Janeway almost immediately, and here we are.
So lost shows. You would be so completely lost. All right. Who wants to go next?
Well, since we're on a shirt thing, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, you might guess from my shirt that it would be Kirk. And yeah, I started watching Star Trek when I was like 5 years old, watching syndicated reruns of the original series. So I have great affection for Captain James T. Kirk. But I think my favorite captain, just in terms of story, character arc, and performance, I gotta lean on Sisko. I love Avery Brooks. I love his relationship with Jake. The whole arc as the emissary, and his relationship with the prophets. There's just something about that character that has always been extremely compelling to me. So I think in a pinch, I'd go with Sisko.
Good answer. Right. T?
I would have to say Picard. I'm a big fan of Sir Patrick, and I love that character, and I grew up watching that character. He was the first captain I was able to see when his episodes were on originally. So I grew up just watching the heck out of TNG, and it's Patrick all the way for me, or Picard all the way for me.
We're going to end up with a team of 5 people with 5 completely different captains as their favorites, aren't we? This is tending towards this. All right, David, why don't you go?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with TOS, but I'm not the biggest Kirk fan, I guess. But I don't know. If I had to pick one, I can't do it. I don't know.
You've got to phase it to your head.
I got to phase it to my head.
You got to pick one.
Fine. Pike.
All right.
Good one.
Are you just saying that to be different?
So I'm just saying that. Yeah, I'll say that to be different, and because that's the Star Trek I'm digging right now. Because
that's fair.
Yeah.
And Chris, by default, your favorite is, I don't know, what, Burnham?
I think I have railed enough against the show. I'm not.
But who's your favorite captain then?
No, my favorite captain is hands down. It has to be Picard, and that is a really, like, it's tough. They all have such great qualities. I really think a lot about Scott Bakula's character. Like his Captain Archer was just awesome because it was hopeful and bouncy and everything. But what it comes down to is like T. I grew up with TNG, and I think Patrick Stewart's acting in that particular character really, really grew throughout the series, and then they were able to do 4 films and now Picard, which is regardless of what people like or dislike about that series, Picard is a really new depth for the Picard character, and it really showcases the breadth of not only Patrick Stewart's talent, but human emotion throughout the course of your life. So yeah, that's what I would do with. Plus,
Picard. Cool.
Patrick Stewart was in Moby Dick, which was a made-for-TV movie in 1998, I think. And if you haven't seen it,
I saw that.
I believe it's on Amazon. It is the greatest movie you will ever watch, save 2 or 3 others. Yeah.
I'm skeptical, but
Oh my
okay.
God, it's so good.
So good recommendation from Chris there. My favorite captain is going to be Captain Mercer. Moving on. Right. The favorite. Okay. Favorite series. I'm going to skip favorite series because I think we kind of covered that a little bit with captains, but let's talk about current series. So, and short treks can be allowed in there, even though I know it's probably done now, but everyone always forgets about that. But favorite current series, and I will kick us off and say probably my favorite current series is going to be Strange New Worlds, although I know we're still in the early stages of it, but it kind of it ticks all the boxes for me, followed closely by Lower Decks, which I feel like is an adult version of like an adult animated version of Strange New Worlds. But anyway, that's me. So who wants to go next? Favorite current series?
Well, I'll be quick. My answer is exactly the same. So Strange New Worlds followed by Lower Decks for the same reasons.
My answer is exactly the opposite. Lower Decks and then Strange New Worlds.
All right. Okay. Fair. That's fair. Dave?
I'm going to say Strange New Worlds, probably followed up with Discovery, only because it was so much fun to be on the ground floor of new Star Trek again. I mean, I was when TNG came on, but still, to be on the ground floor of new Trek, it was particularly exciting. So,
Yeah, that I get a lot. Jack?
I
On
am
the spot.
I am digging Strange New Worlds, but I can't put it up there quite yet. So I'm going to echo what a lot of people are saying here. Lower Decks. I just the sheer affection for the franchise that comes through every second of every episode just warms my heart, and I can't wait till it comes back.
And Marina?
It's going to be a two-way. I do appreciate Prodigy. Yeah, and I don't even
Oh,
have
yeah,
children.
yeah,
I love,
yeah.
and so it's going to be both animated,
Right.
and followed by Strange New Worlds, which, I mean, we're only at 4 episodes, and I'm sure it's probably going to start edging into the rankings as we go along with the season. But yeah, so these 3.
Good. So there it is, folks. It's official that Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks are the best Star Trek shows ever. And
be careful, Alison, be careful, because you never know, like in 2 years there's going to be like another one of those memes, like Star Trek fans have decided that this is good. It's like this whole thing about Galaxy Quest, where know, if you bring it up that it's one of the best Star Trek movies, people are like, yeah, didn't the Star Trek fans have a thing? And I was there, I was part of the thing. It was 150 people at 8:30 at Jordan Hoffman's little thing in Vegas. It wasn't a big hall or anything. But now it's it's a legend, Star Trek fans have decided.
That it's funny actually, because that okay, so that actually leads me into a slightly like more serious question that has to do with daily Star Trek news. So media literacy is a big deal, and part of the reason that I started daily Star Trek news was to kind of try and provide a sensible, like, God, I make it sound really boring, but like a sensible voice for fandom news, right? Because, the algorithm tends to incentivize people to take really inflammatory stances or outlandish stances to promote things that are, rumor, speculation, but in other ways incendiary, right? So I'm curious for you guys, because all of you have some hand in daily Star Trek news. I'm curious for you, what does it mean for you to be a part of an organization that is trying to talk about news and fandom, in a sensible way? Again, sorry, I make it sound so boring. This is part of why I'm leaving you guys, because I make it sound so dull, so dull.
Well, but like a lot of other things that we do in the fandom is like, it's checking the sources, because it's amazing how much misinformation there is, regardless what we're talking about, healthcare, politics, whatever. I mean, even playing our little corner of the internet is just riddled with photoshops and rumors and what have you. So yeah.
Oh my God, the defibrillator. Do you remember that?
Oh my
A
word.
couple weeks
Oh
ago.
my goodness, it was immediate. It was immediate.
It was just such
Well,
fast
it must be true.
backlash.
It must be
I don't
true.
know. I don't know if everybody saw this, but I can't remember the source of it. But it was after the first episode of Strange New Worlds, somebody posted a screenshot that said that it was the defibrillator, right? But it said it was misspelled. So it said defibrillator.
Mm-hmm.
And it just went completely viral. People making fun of it because like, oh, they have such bad quality control. They don't even know how to spell defibrillator. Somebody photoshopped it. It wasn't real. And it was funny because I remember I saw that before I actually saw the episode. And then I saw the episode and I was like, what? And like, I know that sometimes errors like that, they will like actually edit out. So I thought maybe that's what happened. And then one of the producers or whoever had done that was on Twitter a couple of days later saying, I'm really disappointed that people just believed that when you could just go watch the show and you could see that it wasn't true. And it just went everywhere. And I don't know, we didn't do that as a story, but you know, that's the kind of thing you have to watch out for. Anyway,
yeah, I'm a big fan of fair and balanced, you know, and just being sensible and not trying to, you know, just be clickbait. So I love working for an organization that this is what we do. We fact check everything. And I've made mistakes in my stories, and they've been fact checked, and I've changed, and you know, and I just want to be. I'm a very positive person in general, and I want our news to be positive and respected, and you know, so I'm totally with you on that.
Well, and in a world where everyone is falling for fake news right and left, you know, and it's nice to see a corner of fandom related to this franchise that I love that is standing up. I mean, you make it sound boring, Alison, but boring is good in this regard because you know it's because it's real. It's not it's not hype. It's you know, here's what's actually happening in this universe that you love so much, and we're going to offer it to you with some integrity. And I also love that there's some humor that comes through people's writing too. It's not boring at all.
Trying to squeeze the humor in, but you know, another part of it that I think is really important is that there are plenty of rumors out there in the Star Trek universe, be it production or actors or whatever's going on. And it's not that we ignore those rumors. A lot of times we'll just make note that it happened or that it's a thing that somebody said. And sometimes those things, whatever they are, come to fruition. Star Trek 4 is one of them. You know, we had different writers with Mark Revenant and you had
Quentin Tarantino. The rumor that won't die.
And so it was a lot of, okay, well, what have they said about this? Because if they've got something we can quote about what they are or are not doing, and it seems concrete, then we'll print it. You know, being the vernacular of print. And sometimes nothing comes of it, and it's better just to ignore it because there is a lot of inflated rumor, especially when it comes to, like I said, the new Star Trek film, which is supposed to be out next June, right?
Yeah, we talked about this on the stream last week. Yeah.
And produce it and have it out in 6 months? I don't think so.
I think it's moved to December now of next year, but still the latest anybody's heard from anybody actually supposedly attached is that I've heard we're making a movie. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, things out here move in a slightly different time frame than in the rest of the real world.
What do they call a quarter pounder with cheese in space? Sorry, that was a Quentin Tarantino joke.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
I
get it. God, man, that was such a weird summer. So that was the first Sorry, I'm gonna get into like anecdotes now. 2019, we just way back in 2019 before the pandemic, and I was just starting, like there was nothing. I think Discovery season 2 had finished and we hadn't announced Picard yet. I don't think. Maybe we had in 20, I can't remember. Anyway, it was like the summertime in Star Trek land was like quiet. It was all conventions. So sometimes you'd get like little nuggets or something, but mostly it was like there was nothing going on. And that summer was the summer that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out. And Quentin Tarantino is a very smart man, and he was just everywhere. And somebody, because apparently he had written a script or pitched a script for a Star Trek movie, and somebody got wind of it. And man, that was the story that wouldn't die. I mean, if you go on to dailystartreknews.com, there have got to be like 10 or 12 articles talking about the fact that Quentin Tarantino was talking about Star Trek. And in every single one, it was like, I'm not doing Star Trek, but yeah, I pitched a script. And boy, it just wouldn't go away. What's sad is that it actually ignited a lot of people's imaginations in a way that like led us into like short treks and got people's creative juices flowing. And then it just kind of never happened. I don't know, whatever. So let's see. If you guys have questions for us, please pop them in the chat because I'm running out of things to talk about. Oh, actually, I'm not. I will continue to talk about things forever, but that's okay. I was just telling the guys, this is the first. So what you're watching is actually the first time that I have streamed on this channel, not like through the web browser. So, you know, this is a fun time. Anyway, all right. David, did we hear from you about fandom, etc.?
No, I mean, I concur with what everybody's been saying. I mean, I'm just thinking one of the other organizations that I work with is always about misinformation and disinformation and dealing with that broader situation. So it's great to be part of this effort to bring the reason and the intelligence back to the reporting. Yeah.
Cool.
Reality is great.
Trust and verify.
Yeah,
That's right.
and it's actually, it's hard though, because I'm starting to see, sorry, slight tangent, as you know I like to do. I'm starting to see multiple layers of misinformation. I haven't seen it yet in Star Trek particularly, but I've seen it in other arenas where I've seen an organization quote another organization who has quoted a study that if you go and look at that study, there's some dodgy red flags about the study. But because somebody said this is a study and they publish it like it's a study, then one person looks at it and says, oh, this study has said blah, 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 because it backs up their worldview. And somebody else who's slightly more, it's like laundering the truth, if that makes sense, which is a little bit. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, part of the reason that I'm so passionate about getting it right in Star Trek, because I know, like, if you're a sensible person, you'll be like, who cares if what you read about Star Trek is right? Like, it's a TV show, like, who cares? And some people do take Star Trek pretty seriously, but my feeling is that if you allow that sort of behavior, that laundering of truth in even something as inconsequential as Star Trek fandom, then you legitimize, or you kind of conditioning people to either not believe anything or to just believe whatever they hear. And I know it's like a tiny, tiny thing, but it matters in Star Trek because people who read and watch things about Star Trek also read and watch things about poverty and racism and gun control and everything else. And it's the same type of behavior, the way that you consume media as a Star Trek fan bleeds into everything else. So that's why I care about it a lot. And
it's consistent.
That's why it matters.
It's consistent with the greater Star Trek ethos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you sign up to the Star Trek philosophy, at some point you have to acknowledge that what we watch on television affects how we choose to create our society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with those the laundering of the truth, as you were talking about before, and referring to studies, even the respectable media will overstate the conclusions of those studies. And so that's just something to be avoided, and let's get it right.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a couple of sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have something, Chris?
No, Miss Lizzie Beth wants to know why we did not include the Orville as a favorite show contender.
I was just going to address that. Let's talk about the Orville, because the Orville has just come out, and I know, like, I've actually had people complain before that, you know, I've talked about Galaxy Quest, I've talked about the Orville on daily Star Trek news, and they're technically not Star Trek, but come on. And of course, the Orville season 3 just premiered this week. Have you guys all watched it? If I recall, not all of you can watch it. Wow. So it's TU watched it. Yeah. So it's just the two of us. It was a pretty heavy first episode, but really good. And to give you a very, very brief recap, we were sort of the end of season 2. They were coming off the Kaylon War, and of course Isaac is a Kaylon android who serves aboard the Orville. He was deactivated, they reactivated him and put him back into service. So the whole first episode of the new series is dealing with the aftermath of having a Kaylon serving aboard the Orville, and it gets into some pretty heavy themes. I think it's great, and I think you should give it a try if you can. Not everybody has Hulu, and also outside of the US, not everybody has access, so I can acknowledge that. Right. But the reason we didn't include it as a favorite current show contender, I think, is just because we didn't get there yet. I don't know. There's only been one episode of the current season, and we haven't seen it since 2019, I want to say. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we can revisit that question, you know, in a few weeks when we've seen more of the season, I think. So, but yeah. There was another question on there. Christoph asked if will there be a weekly-ish live going forward. I think that I personally would love to see the broadcasts, the audio podcast and the video going forward, but we're still working on what that might look like and how that might happen. So watch this space. Hopefully we can make something like that work, but there are no immediate plans is the answer to that. Also rewatch Galaxy Quest if you haven't recently, because that is a movie that really stands up. And what's great about Galaxy Quest is that, like, the Orville is like Galaxy Quest, and also Strange New Worlds is like Galaxy Quest, but like actual Star Trek.
I was just at Phoenix Fan Fusion last weekend, and Thermians from Utah were there. So if you've seen the documentary, the super fans, the ones who created the costumes, and they do the whole thing at the conventions, they're very popular in Vegas once they finally made it to the Vegas convention. And they did a whole panel where they're like, why Galaxy Quest belongs in Star Trek.
Yeah,
it was absolutely delightful. I mean, it was mostly just talking about how they started out and all the, I mean, if you know the what's what in Galaxy Quest, it is homage slash parody of Star Trek in many ways.
Yeah.
And then they did the trivia where, like, certain things that that either are straight out of Galaxy Quest or something random that people might not know necessarily how it relates to Star Trek. So it was a really fun panel, just mixing and matching Galaxy Quest and Star Trek together. That was, I don't think I've actually seen one except for that one mention that I did earlier about Jordan's panel.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, have you seen there's a movement since Galaxy Quest is on Paramount Plus? There's a movement to get it categorized on the Star Trek page.
They should do that. I absolutely think they should do that. I think, all the discussions that we always have about canon and things like that, what is and what isn't canon, you could make an argument that even though Galaxy Quest is not Star Trek branded, that it is as much part of the Star Trek fandom culture as any of the others. So, yeah. So I have a question for you guys personally. It's always a weird thing to me to like handle that thing when you're dealing with people who are not Star Trek fans, or maybe they like Star Trek but they're not like fans. How do you interact with people when they find out that you are a part of something like Daily Star Trek News, like at work or in a friend group, and they're like, oh, so what do you do for fun? And you're like, well, I write for a Star Trek news website. How do you deal with that, and what's people's reactions? I'm curious.
I think it depends.
I
It depends
generally
on...
get people.
Yeah, go ahead.
I generally get people who are really interested. I worked with a lighting designer a couple of months ago who was like, "You're cool," and I was like, "Well, I don't feel cool, but great." That's all he said, and he said it again to me today. He was like, "You are so cool." I'm like, "Really? Okay, I'll take it." And then occasionally you'll get the reaction where I just met somebody today who was singularly uninterested. She just didn't care, So you get both kinds of reactions, at least I do. I work in theater, so we're all kind of, that just goes with the territory. Most of us will like Star Trek and stuff like that. So
yeah.
What about you, Marina?
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on the context, because sometimes if it's very so it's not like I met somebody randomly at not necessarily even convention, but some sort of pop culture event, but something very completely distant from all of that. If it's a question like, and somehow Star Trek pops up, I just strictly answer the questions. Like if they ask me something, I'm going to stick to the facts and just give them the answer. If it's something that, you can sort of see how I can expand on it and fangirl a little bit, then I will do it. But yeah, sometimes it's the occasions where if I meet somebody and all of a sudden it's, person is deeply like they want to know all the nitty gritty. That happens extremely rarely, actually. Like the one that I can think of, I was at was it an author event? But it was completely unrelated to pop culture, specifically Star Trek, nothing like that. And the person who was there, we're just chatting in the queue, and she happened to be a former event organizer, and somehow Star Trek came up in terms of like specifically conventions. She said, "Oh, you go to conventions, so tell me more about it." So she wanted to know specifically. And then I was like, let me sing you the song of my people. And I did the whole thing about conventions. But that is extremely rare, actually. Otherwise, it's like, it's either the facts or, depending on the context, sometimes I can expand and just drown people in information about how amazing Star Trek fandom is.
What about, have you ever been in the situation where you're in a room with somebody, multiple people, and they start having a conversation about Star Trek, and you like, this is a thing that happens to me on a regular basis, is that other people will start talking about Star Trek and I have to stay out of it because I know too much. And you have to
Yes.
like,
Oh, God.
you have to
Yeah,
like, you don't want to
I've been
ruin
there.
their enjoyment.
Yeah.
You just have to like,
I was
let them have
at
it.
an event, a presentation at USS Intrepid once in New York, and people behind me sitting there's like a small presentation theater in there. They started talking about Star Trek, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, this is all wrong. That's not it. No. And I'm like, should I turn around and correct them? And I'm like, no, just they're having they're enjoying the conversation, and I, like you said, I know too much. I'm saying.
Let them have
Yeah.
let them enjoy it. And it's funny because I tried to be like that. Like, I don't watch Star Trek when it first comes out. I wait until it's, at a sensible time for me. I don't necessarily watch everything because I don't want to be like that. Sometimes you just know too much and you just want to be like, normal Star Trek fans.
Heaven forbid someone calls him Dr. Spock around me though, because then I will jump in. And I do jump
actually, yeah. Right. So what do you say that we open this bad boy?
Oh boy,
I'm so excited.
Okay, so we don't have like official show and tell, but I do want to give a shout out to Michael Jones, who sent me a message and a package, and they specifically asked that I open this live on the stream. So I'm gonna do it, and I haven't. You can see I haven't opened it at all. I'm very curious to find out what's inside. So. See if you guys, I find this incredibly stressful because what if I can't get it open?
I'm actually curious, like what exactly, you said it was very light, right?
It's very light.
Triple
T-shirt?
I don't know. Apparently there is a picture that goes along with it that I haven't seen yet because they didn't want to ruin the surprise. God, I should have done the tape at least before we got on here.
Now this adds authenticity.
Yes.
Okay.
Thicken the atmosphere.
All right. It's a lot of bubble wrap. Okay.
I told you it's a Hamilton plate. Inflatable Murph.
Oh. That Spock decanter.
I'm not sure that I can accept this. It is, so first of all, it's a program guide from Phoenix.
Hey. Yeah, that's
Fusion,
the one
which
from last week.
you said you were there, and I know
Yep.
I saw Larry in the chat before. I don't know if he's still here, but I know Larry Nemechek was there, and booth buddies with Thomas Maroney, which I was very excited to see those pictures because that was very
goodness. Did you see the
sweet.
pictures of the Thomas created of Marshall Janeway from STO?
I did. I saw that. Yeah. And I saw that he got to do his whole panel, which was fantastic. I love Thomas. And I'm not sure that I can accept this. But I don't think I have a choice. Okay. So this is it's Lieutenant Tuvok.
Oh yeah.
You can't see very well.
Tim was there and he was absolute delight.
Oh.
And it says to Alison, live long and prosper, and it's signed. And I don't know that I don't think I have a choice because it has my name on it. But that's absolutely too generous. Here, have a look at it again.
It's wonderful.
And what makes it even worse is that I think Janeway was right. Oh, I guess that's fine. That's fine because we brought Tuvok back, right?
Yes. No, Janeway was right. They had they had a wonderful component to Phoenix Fan Fusion. It's a very Star Trek friendly convention. So if you ever in the area, check it out because it was great. They had hold on. Well, Thermians do not count. But Kate was there, Tim was there, who else was there? Doug Jones was there, and I forget who the fourth person was. Anthony Rapp, sorry.
Oh, yes. Right. I feel like I really feel like Voyager got kind of robbed by the pandemic. Okay, completely. First of all, that's very minimizing. I just want to say a lot of people got robbed a lot worse from the pandemic.
But it's just I keep thinking that we were like purely from the convention circuit. The 2020 was pretty unprecedented because they were planning to do 3 all cast events and then all the whatever little things that were going on through the year, and then of course the whole thing just went. So Yeah, but Fan Fusion is lovely. If you're in the Phoenix area or you nearby, you can travel there. I can certainly recommend it because I really enjoyed myself. I did the Space BFFs photo op with Kate and Tim because yeah.
Sweet. Well, yeah.
Hold on, let me show
you
if you'd like. Hold on.
wait. Do you have the pictures? You must have so many pictures with Kate.
Yeah.
So many pictures.
That's so
yeah.
sweet. You do, don't you?
So many.
That's really
fun.
cool.
It's fun. It's great fun. It's part of the experience.
Star Trek captains.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that out. So, now that STLV is not technically official anymore and whatever, and
But if I may interrupt, like as far as non-official, the only problem so far is, of course, just basically the lack of decorations and the fact that there are certain things they cannot use. Otherwise, nothing else has changed. We still have, like, did you see the guest list for this year? Oh my goodness.
No, I haven't yet. I'm still. Conventions are hard for me because I've got the small people that live with me. They have not grown up and left the house yet. And around here we actually have year-round schools, so they are firmly in school by the time that STLV happens, and so that's a challenge for childcare,
and especially this year as well because of the shift in the time frame.
Yeah, it's later than usual. So that's always a bit of a challenge. I would love to go back, even if it's not, even though it's not at the Rio this year, and even though it's, not official. STLV is a great place to go. I've talked about it before. But, Phoenix is also, and Phoenix isn't just Star Trek. Right?
No, it's basically a Comic-Con. They adjusted the name like many other conventions did, the ones that are close enough to San Diego, to avoid any possible things that what happened with which one was it? Was it Planet Comic-Con, the one that had ran into legal troubles with San Diego? So they became Phoenix Fan Fusion. Denver became, I think, something else. Of course, Denver convention is right now. Well, there used to be two. The Starfest just naturally ended, which was a fan run convention of like 45 years. And what used to be Denver Comic-Con is now under the umbrella of Fan Expo. So it's Fan Expo Denver now, which also I've been there 2017, so 16. I like that. They had, again, it's very interesting when you kind of come and you kind of check out who do I see in cosplay, in the collectibles, on the vendor flow, like how friendly is it to Star Trek? And it's one of those.
Good.
This is why Marina does our events.
Yeah, she's such a wealth of information of all things convention. You're like a gold mine of information. I
wish I could go to more, but money.
right. We actually had a question in the chat. Is anyone else from here going to STLV this year?
Yeah.
Is anyone planning, Marina?
Can't.
No. Doesn't look like it. Yeah. Jack, it's a little bit of a journey for you. It can be done, although you're further away, because that was 2016 was my first STLV, and I was actually living in England at the time. But I was also not far from London, so I was able to hop it wasn't quite direct flight to Las Vegas, and that was pretty easy. But
next year is going to be interesting because most of the big events are all towards the West Coast. So we're going to have Mission to Seattle, and the cruise is leaving out of LA, and of course, Vegas is close enough to the Pacific. So so
it's going to be actually good for people in Europe being in Seattle, because I have family in Seattle, and when I was living in England, it was actually a lot easier to get to Seattle than a lot of other places in the US, because you can kind of go up and over. It's actually, I think it's a 10-hour direct flight from London, which is long, but it's a lot. It's shorter than trying to go like to the East Coast and then up. So so hopefully people will be able to go to that one in Seattle.
Does anybody have a sense of how Chicago compared with STLV?
I really would advise not to do that, simply because it's apples and oranges in terms of organization. Mission New York follows the same blueprint as every other Comic-Con that ReedPop holds. So it's the STLV, you come, you have your seat. and the number of people who are present in the day never more than the number of seats in the main theater. Whereas Mission Chicago is first come, first serve, and you have very affordable entry fee. So like a Comic-Con, you're not guaranteed a seat at any panel. Now, this year, it was, I'm going to say they could have probably easily done twice as many people. And it still would have been okay, because so this year was very comfortable, and it was exactly because of the pandemic. It wasn't the entire, like, nobody had any issues getting seats in the main theater. It was a very relaxed crowd, which was greatly appreciated, for them to start up the Mission conventions in such a comfortable way. That was great. So I'm gonna venture, I guess Seattle's probably gonna be crowdier and a little bit less local, because it was very obvious that majority of people attending are people from Illinois and the neighboring states, rather than international fans and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, and you also have the difference that STLV and that type of, it's kind of unique because it's almost a residential.
It's a hotel convention, basically.
Right. And those types of conventions are a very different atmosphere, because it's not just the convention, it's all of the stuff that happens around the convention as well.
Yeah, so this was actually one big thing in Chicago this year, because the hotel itself and everything around was not very conducive to your typical convention experience that if you've gone to Vegas, you would expect, which is people hanging out afterwards, keeping the bars open. They, except for one hotel, I think everything that was attached to the convention center was closed at like 9 p.m. in the evening, and people were like, well, what are we supposed to go? And somebody actually went to the management of one of the hotels, actually the hotel that I stayed in, Hyatt, and said, you have several thousand people here. Do you mind keeping this location open as late as you can, because we're going to be sitting there and we're going to be talking and eating and drinking and eating and drinking and talking, and it's probably going to be, you can do very nice business. So I think Saturday of the convention, they kept it open until 11 p.m. That was like the only extension that they allowed, and otherwise Sunday everything was closed, period.
Yeah.
So
that actually reminds me of at STLV, must have been 2019. They always did like a VIP thing up on the Voodoo Lounge at the top of the Rio, the rooftop bar. And then for whatever reason, they didn't do the official convention party. And I forgive me, I cannot remember the name of the guy who organized it, went to the Rio Hotel and was like, you need to give convention people, a special pass to get up here, because we do this every year and we drink a lot and we party a lot and we have a good time. And they did an unofficial massive party on the rooftop, and it was wonderful. And sometimes those fan things are just
Masquerade in Rio caught on very quickly that, you don't even need to put that much effort, like that little thing that, a specialty menu based on the original quarks in the experience. It's like 6 names out of like what used to be 20, 30 out of the original menu, but you just do just that, and you're going to get people like literally circulating, because everybody wants to have a quarks drink, a real quarks drink, especially people who've never been to Star Trek experience. So we'll see how it goes in Bally's. The locals already scouted out. They said there are a couple of locations that we will be able to use.
Marina with the inside track and everything. The lesson there is, Star Trek fans organizing is it's in the grand tradition of things, really, when you think about it.
Basically, you get 10 Star Trek fans who immediately form a queue. It's just ingrained.
And there you go. Brand new mini convention anywhere you go. I've talked about that before. Let's just start our own convention. Let's just like a fan convention. Let's just like rent a ranch in the middle of the desert, and we'll just like have people to come around and watch Star Trek for a week. That'll be fun. And then we don't have to worry about the hotel. But yeah. Well, guys, listen, we're starting to wind down now because we've been here for nearly an hour. So I want to give everybody a chance to kind of ask any final questions. There's a slight delay on the stream, so bear with us. But for those of you all here, I just wanted to take a second to thank all of you guys on the team for the last couple of years. Chris, you've been with me the longest. You were the one who kind of made me go from a me to a we, and that was a really big deal because I don't generally work well with other people. So from Chris kind of helping me see what the possibilities were there, and then each of the rest of you kind of coming on and helping to make Daily Star Trek News bigger than just, you know, one random person musing on the internet. I really cannot thank you enough for everything that you've all done. And I am so happy that you guys are going to continue to grow. And I think you'll do wonderful, wonderful things, probably better than if I was around. I'm really excited. Already I can, whatever. I'm not good at saying things. My point being that for those of you who are watching, this team is amazing and you guys are in really, really good hands. And I'm very excited to see what happens next for Daily Star Trek News. All right, so those of you here on the Zoom with me, do you guys have any parting words or anything else you'd like to say before we sign off? Or anybody in the chat if you've got questions too.
I just want to say that I'm going to keep doing the news as Alison showed us how to do it, and that part's not going to change. We're going to expand a little bit. I have some ideas that I'm not ready to talk about, but watch this space because it's going to be great.
We had a question in chat from Christoph. Says, question, Alison, will you stay in the DSTN team? I will not have anything to do with day-to-day. You are in really good hands with the team as it is, and I don't want to interfere with that. I am not unreachable, though. I'm not going to disappear from the internet. You guys all know how to find me. At least in the short term, I'm still in the chats and stuff until T kicks me out. So.
Which will never happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still like around, but I'm not like around. If that makes sense. So yeah.
It's been, I think, right around 26 months since I started writing with you. And like you said, it was a process to like become a we, but it wasn't as painful, I think, as you might have thought it to be. I know I was very eager coming on 2 years ago, and I'm still eager in a lot of ways, but I was just left and right shooting ideas like, we could do this, we could do this, we could bring this thing into the show, it would be so cool. And Alison was like, hold on, I just hired someone, let me breathe. and it ended up working out really, really well. And I've just want to say, I have been a fan since your very first episode. And I was with you every week that first year and was so happy, am so happy that you...
Like, was? What happened?
I was and am still.
Yeah.
It's been great. And you've been very valuable to me as both a mentor in this whole process and just a friend. You're a great human being, and I really value everything that you've brought to the integrity of the Star Trek news and to my life and just to the overall enjoyment of others. And thanks for everything. And you better stay reachable because, you know, you're an important person.
Thank you. Oh, and I want to touch on something that you said, actually, because you had to put up with me saying no to a lot over the years. And I want to emphasize that you and the rest of the team, everybody has some really, really awesome, enthusiastic ideas, some of which may end up, coming to fruition. The idea for Daily Star Trek News, it was always that we're going to be around for a while. I think that with the design of keeping things, long term, we've been a bit slow, and I've said no to a lot of things, but you guys are on a really great path. And yeah, I'm excited to see where you go next. Anyway.
Does this mean I'm the senior writer
now? You can discuss that with T. because I have no say anymore.
You're the
what we
longest
call
running
passing the
writer.
buck. But yeah. All right, guys. Unless anybody's got any final thoughts, I think we should leave it there. We've been here for an hour. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Thank you for chatting. It's been wonderful to get to know all of you, and I certainly will see you around. And hopefully, you'll give the new team, well, the existing team, as much support as you have given me over the years, because it makes a really big difference. Right. Well, thank you again. And we will see you guys around the multiverse, I suppose. All right. Live long and prosper, everybody. We'll see you very soon.
Thanks, folks.
And you guys